another exclusive on ET Now. And Supriya caught up with the MOS Finance, Jayant Sinha, and for his first reaction after the budget.
Joining us right here on ET Now, the architect of the Union Budget 2016 itself. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome on this show Minister of State for Finance, Jayant Sinha, who is joining us right here on ET Now. Thank you very much for staying with us, Mr. Sinha, and thank you very much for joining us right here on ET Now. I must first begin to talk to you about the fiscal deficit, because that was really the big talking point before you went ahead and presented Budget 2016. You've stayed at 3.5% for next year. I have two questions there. Have you opted for convenience? Because many people believe this is going to be a very tall order given your liabilities and revenues being under constraint.
No, I think it's a solid and prudent estimate at 3.5%. It was very important for us to maintain credibility and to maintain, the high quality fiscal management that we've demonstrated so far. Therefore, we really sharpened our pencils and figured out exactly how we would meet that. You must recognize that as far as spectrum is concerned, we are estimating about 98,000 crores from spectrum sales. We are estimating 56,500 crores from disinvestment, and we're assuming that revenues will grow 14%. So when you add this up and you look at what we're doing on the indirect side in terms of additional tax revenue of about 20,000 crores, the numbers in fact do come together quite nicely. Also, with respect to the 7th Pay Commission, we've gone through and figured out exactly how to manage that through the year so that in fact we can meet the 3.5% fiscal deficit number. As you can well imagine, there were lots and lots of scenarios that you ran, a lot of detailed spreadsheet analysis on various assumptions. But all in all, we feel that we've landed in a good place by managing all these different things. And what I'd like to emphasize to everybody that is worried about the fiscal deficit number is that we took on daunting targets as far as the fiscal deficit is concerned. As far as the last two fiscal years are concerned, and we've done rather well in reaching those fiscal deficit numbers, not just in terms of hitting the numbers themselves, but also in terms of managing expenses, so that this year, rather than cutting back on expenses, we've in fact increased expenses, and we've also improved the quality of expenditure. So I would really say that as far as fiscal management is concerned, we have demonstrated fiscal management of the highest order.
Absolutely you have, and which is why markets are giving you a thumbs up. There was some kind of nervousness early on, but of course I'll get many clarifications from you for the markets on this. There are two questions on the numbers that you quoted. 98,000 crore rupees for the market looks a tad too high from spectrum proceeds, especially when corporates are sitting on very, very over-leveraged balance sheets. Telcos are not in the best of shape. And the second is the disinvestment target, which also includes strategic sale. 56,500 crore rupees is a tall order, considering 10 budgets in the past haven't been able to get anywhere close to their budgetary targets for the divestment proceeds. And do you believe at a time when there is global uncertainty and demand hasn't picked up in India, is revenue growth of 14% a little too ambitious?
No, I don't think so, because we obviously have nominal GDP growth of 11%. And we have taken a host of measures to improve tax buoyancy. I think one thing that all viewers and all people that are concerned about fiscal management should understand is that there is in fact a tremendous game changer here in what we're doing as far as tax disputes, penalties, as well as settlement of lingering tax cases is concerned. And on top of that, we have an income disclosure scheme where we've said basically for domestic black money that by paying 45%, you can take any undisclosed income and make it legitimate. We have actually in our fiscal deficit numbers and in the fiscal calculations that we've done not assumed any revenues coming in either from the settlement of litigation or from the dispute resolution or from the income disclosure scheme. So we have in fact built a really solid cushion because of what we are doing, which is I think revolutionary as far as tax litigation, dispute resolution and so on is concerned. And we expect significant revenues coming in from there, but that is not even included in our revenue calculations so far. But that cushion is certainly available.
And that revenue will be welcome, and that revenue will indeed be welcome. One big question on fiscal deficit before I move forward and laud you on some of the things that you've done. If you can make fiscal deficit be met at 3.5% for next fiscal, why talk about the review of the FRBM Act? Are you trying to appease both camps here?
No, the answer for that is very simple, Supriya. The fact is that FRBM has been in place since 2003. And the world over, people have gone to more flexible sort of prudential norms when it comes to fiscal management. And so what we want is, and this was based on opinions of very eminent economists and fiscal experts, that we really need to think carefully about how FRBM should be applied going forward. The reality, of course, for FRBM is, despite it being in force for the last 12 or 13 years, it's largely not been followed. So we need something that is more practical, more realistic, and that enables the expectation management between government and the markets, and of course, the bond market in particular, to be much more realistic. And so we need to really think it through comprehensively. We need to get the best advice, and then we need to put in place something that is more flexible, more dynamic, that will enable us to be able to manage expectations and deal with our fiscal situation much better. And that's why we're doing that. It is really, a step that we're taking to ensure that our fiscal management gets even better going forward.
Mr. Sinha, what you've got a thumbs up for is meeting the fiscal deficit target. What you've got a thumbs down for is the PSU bank recapitalization. The markets were expecting levels of over 35,000 crore rupees. You willing to
I think the markets is always on a hair trigger, Supriya. The markets are always on a hair trigger. Let me tell you what we are doing as far as the public sector banks are concerned, and I've been saying it over and over again, is absolutely transformational.
25,000 crore
it's absolutely transformational. The 25,000 crores is front-loaded, the first tranche, okay? If we need more, we will provide more. You have to understand that we have also opened the door for the consolidation of public sector banks. And with the consolidation of public sector banks also being possible, we cannot commit to a number until we really understand how the consolidation process is going to work. So let us wait and see. The 25,000 crores is available. We've run all the numbers, of course. We think that's what's required right now under the recognition of the NPAs that's required under the AQR. And so we will make sure that every bank is well, sort of in terms of managing its capital requirements as per Basel III and RBI. So they will be very well placed as far as that is concerned. Then the consolidation process will start, and what the requirements will be then, it's hard to estimate. Obviously, we are going to stand by and provide whatever else is required. So I would suggest that people that are overreacting right now should just take a step back and understand the very, very revolutionary changes that we have brought in as far as the public sector banks are concerned. You know, of course, that Vinod Rai is going to become the chairman of the Bank Board Bureau. We've announced 3 other names besides. We await their advice and their suggestions on exactly how the consolidation process is going to work. So the 25,000 crores is all we need right now. As the consolidation happens, we'll see how much more is required. The budget speech, the Honorable FM are very clear that we will do whatever it takes to support our banks, and we are absolutely standing behind that.
So that's a big statement coming. 25,000 crore is front loading, and if at all anything more is required, it will come in. The other big thing that I want to talk to you about, the budget is quiet on stake sale in PSUs. Are you willing to go below 50%? I thought there was a statement made there. I just want to get clarity for the markets. Are you willing to go below 50% in PSU banks if the need arises?
No, that of course is something that requires legislative approval. We cannot go below 51%.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.